everybody, thanks for joining Science with Sam, and today we're going to learn about the moon. At about 855,000 miles away, the moon is Earth's largest satellite. It has a thick rocky crust with a lunar soil called regolith. Inside, the moon has a solid iron core. With a diameter of about 2,159 miles, the moon is larger than Pluto. However, it's still only 1/4 the size of Earth. The moon has a very thin atmosphere, so a layer of dust or a footprint can sit undisturbed for centuries. Without much of an atmosphere, temperatures vary drastically. The sunny side of the moon can reach 273 degrees Fahrenheit, while the dark side of the moon can get as cold as -243 degrees Fahrenheit. That's pretty cold. Because of its small tilt, the moon virtually has no seasons. That means some areas are always lit by sunlight, and other areas are perpetually draped in darkness. The moon has many functions, and it's theorized that if we didn't have the moon, life on Earth might not have existed. One of the most important functions is how the moon stabilizes Earth's rotation. When the Earth rotates, it wobbles slightly on its axis. It's like a spin top that doesn't just spin perfectly in one position. The moon keeps the Earth from wobbling too violently as it rotates. We theorize this balancing from the moon is actually what allowed a stable climate to form on Earth, thus creating life. With no moon as a stabilizer, the Earth would sometimes tilt all the way over and lie on its side, or it would tilt straight up and down, making night and day virtually equally as long, and there would be no seasons. The pioneering astronomer Galileo Galilei was the first to use a telescope to make scientific observation of the moon in 1609. At the time, it was thought that the moon was smooth, but Galileo's findings proved the moon's surface to be rough and craterous. In 1969, Apollo 11 landed the first astronauts on the moon, undoubtedly the most famous of NASA's achievements. Their efforts returned 842 pounds of moon rocks and soil for scientific study. It remains the only extraterrestrial body that humanity has ever visited. Scientists continue to study these rocks and have made new discoveries as technology improves. The moon affects our daily lives too. We have all heard of high tide and low tide, but what are those and what causes it? High tides and low tides are caused by the moon. The moon's gravitational pull creates what we call tidal force. The tidal force causes water to bulge out on the side closest to and farthest from the moon. Because of the Earth's rotation, that gives us high tides and low tides twice a day, changing every 6 hours. The moon is actually in the process of leaving us at a rate of 4 centimeters a year. The moon itself doesn't emit any light like the sun. What we see is actually sunlight reflecting back off of the moon. The amount of light that the moon reflects back is called a phase, and there are 8 phases of the moon to know. Around once per month, about every 29 days, the phases of the moon make a complete cycle. When we can see all of the moon, we call that a full moon because the most light is shining back at us. When we can't see any of the moon, we call that a new moon because no light is shining back at us. As the moon orbits or circles the Earth, the phases change. We call the side of the moon a face. Did you know the moon always shows us the same face as it orbits Earth? We'll start with the new moon phase. This is where we can't see any reflection from the moon. A new moon is when the moon is between Earth and the sun, casting a shadow on the moon. As the moon orbits Earth, we can see more and more of the lit up face until finally the moon is on the opposite side of the planet and we get a full moon. As the new moon begins its orbit and we see more and more of the moon, this is called waxing. After the moon gets to its full phase, we start to see less and less of the moon. This is called waning. The sun and moon also create solar and lunar eclipses. A lunar eclipse takes place when the Earth gets directly in between the sun and the moon. An Earth's shadow falls on the moon. A lunar eclipse can occur only during a full moon. A solar eclipse can occur when the moon moves directly between the sun and the Earth, and the moon's shadow falls on Earth. A solar eclipse can only occur during a new moon. Solar eclipses are rare to see because the shadow that the moon casts is very, very small on Earth's surface. The next solar eclipse will take place in April 2024.
You can make your own moon observations and record them just like astronomers.
Go outside and look for the moon. Remember to look up what time the moonrise will be in your area and know that, like the sun, the moon rises in the east and sets in the west. I've provided some printable worksheets for you guys so you can make your own moon observations at home. Thanks again for joining Science with Sam, and we'll see you next week.